Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Thank you for tuning in and welcome to This Just In. I'm your host, Justin Barnes. In these segments, I'll bring you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. As always, we're broadcasting from the This Just In studios on the Business Radio X network, as well as the Healthcare Now radio network. For this episode, my 259th episode, we have one of healthcare's greatest leaders and collaborators, Russell Branzell, President and CEO of CHIME. What an honor to have you on air, my friend.
Justin, what a pleasure to be with you today. Long time no talk to in this world of COVID, but it is great to be with you.
I know. It's great to hear your voice again. So, just starting off, how are you? Where are you calling in from? All that good stuff.
We are doing wonderful. As all, we've kind of battled through the last three years, so we're doing quite well. Family, everyone. But I am calling in from just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, little tiny town of Houston, Georgia, which almost nobody knows where that's from, to say the least. And so, it's absolutely a wonderful place to live.
Great. And I assume you've been traveling a lot, spending some time in Florida, but also nationally. Do you do a lot of speaking, or what does your travel may consist of?
So, we do a lot of traveling. About 50% of the job and about 50% of our organization spends time on the road. And so it's everything from formal education events and speaking gigs, anything we need to. Right now, we are doing a lot of professional development around the world. We have 6 or 7 programs this year alone, just in the UK, but we spend time just about everywhere around the world trying to help everyone elevate their jobs and elevate their careers.
Fantastic. And when Roberta kind of brought the show up and the theme and the opportunity to me, I got really excited. First of all, we're longtime friends and collaborators in the industry, but also I've never really dedicated a show to kind of like the CIO suite and that whole world. And so, I know CHIME has a great dedication there. Obviously a global leader in that realm. So certainly excited for the show and to learn more and dedicate this time. In that vein, give us a brief history of CHIME, where CHIME come from and the evolution there.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of apropos that we're holding this one now, because this is our 30th anniversary year. We are celebrating 30 years of being in existence. So we started, it was actually founded in 92. So we're just exiting our 30th year. It was really founded by some of the pioneers of the role of CIO, really even all the way back to data management and people as well as I do, the John Glassers of the world,
sure,
who realized there was something coming, and they weren't quite sure exactly what it was, but what they did know is that significant leadership was going to be necessary to really drive forward an agenda that included, at that time, something as simple as calling it computing, and that things were going to emerge, personal computers, larger computers, that it was going to impact healthcare. And they were starting to see some things like smaller applications, radiology systems, laboratory systems, and that this was going to become a real job and a real profession for people to work for. So they came together and formed a small, at that time, association, great leaders coming together to say, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out how we're going to lead, how we're going to support each other. And about 100 people came together in that first group. And that's kind of how CHIME was born. And it really happened in kind of a natural incubative way. But that's really how our pioneer leaders to begin with really kind of got us together.
I love it. So you've been there, about 10 years now?
I have been there almost to the day, 10 years. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. I remember when you took the position. So very cool. And obviously time flies and COVID didn't help. I think John said COVID was what was his, John Halamka last week literally said, COVID was the fastest 10 years of his life. Something
I would absolutely agree. I don't know where those 3 years went, but we'll never get them back. I know that.
Exactly. And the fact that it's probably feels to all of us like 10 years when you look back, but couldn't agree more. So how, over the last, even in 10 years, how has CHIME, kept up with the industry and continued to be a leading voice and a strong force at that?
It's interesting. As we were getting ready for kind of our 30th anniversary celebrations, we took a little bit of time to be retrospective and thinking about that. And not just the 10 years, but really what I would call waves of change that have occurred over the last 3 decades. In particular, the last decade has been monumental in that we were exiting a period of what we might want to call the software heyday, as EMRs were really becoming the thing about 10 years ago. We really spent a lot of time and effort to get that portion of automation in the industry moving and really implemented in a substantial and meaningful way. And what has occurred since then is what we could probably refer to as truly the digitization of healthcare. It wasn't just the automation of some software and some practices. What we've really seen over the last 10 years is at least the emergence and the propellant of us to move forward in really truly digitizing, like many other industries have done, our industry, our workflow. Now, we are nowhere near done, but that's really what we've seen. And it really has caused dramatic changes in the profession. It's caused very dramatic changes in the way healthcare is operated. And that's created both tensions and opportunities all at the same time. We've been very fortunate, and as you know, CHIME very well, we are led by real practitioners in the field. I was one of those many years ago on the board, but our board is always cycling through some of the best and brightest minds, ladies and gentlemen, that work in our field every single day. And so they're always kind of pushing us forward with clear vision, clear strategy, and clear direction on how to support the industry, how to support our members, and really how to drive the change that's needed in the industry.
Yeah, and I love it, Russ. So tell me about your board currently now. I mean, how do you select board members? I mean, I'm sure that your community votes on that, but how do you balance between different constituencies? It's always interesting how organizations like yours do that. So.
Yeah, like many associations, we are a representative governance, meaning our members come directly from our board members come directly from our membership, and then they're cycled through on about a 3-year cycle. One person gets to spend a 4th year if they serve as chair. But we get, with each group, we get about 3 years through the cycle. They have to nominate themselves or be nominated to run for the board. Then there's kind of a traditional cut down process that's happening through a nominating committee, but then it goes to the full membership to vote, and 3 people are selected every single year. Tough position to get, and that's for our representatives of our CHIME organization. That's the provider facing organization that we run. But we also have a foundation, which is our vendor community. They also compete every single year, the similar process for one position. I always jokingly say that is the hardest position to get in healthcare, at least healthcare IT, because only one person gets it every year, and they all cycle through together. So it's both good and bad. When you get really great board members like we do, it's great that they're there, but before you know it and they get full up to speed, they actually head out the door after 3 or 4 years. But it is such a blessing to serve with not just people that are smart and amazing leaders, but also dear friends for the last 15, 20 years.
Absolutely. How many people serve on the board at any given time?
It depends. There's a little bit of a cycling that you can do with different numbers, but we usually have around 15 or 16 on the CHIME board. Okay. And then we end up with just about that same number now. We went through some bylaw changes last year, about the same number on our foundation board. And then we've got a few other organizations that we run as well, our education foundation and a few other things that are out there that we run, in particular Association for CISOs, CTOs, and Chief Analytics Officers as well. But the main 2 boards, the CHIME and the CHIME Foundation, right around 15 people on a rotating cycle.
Okay, excellent. And we touched on this a little bit, but what makes CHIME unique in the health IT space?
So I think this goes way back all the way to the beginning of CHIME, and I think we've tried to carry that, despite changes that we all have to make in all of our organizations to both remain relevant and competitive as we move forward. But CHIME was born out of a relational model. It was people coming together to help each other, to help get through this crazy thing we call health IT, this crazy industry we work in called healthcare, which at any given time has its own dramatic impact or dramatic events that are occurring, or the world itself affects us and we have to deal with it. The last 5 years alone have been pretty crazy for our leaders in healthcare. And I think the point that always comes together is, and you've experienced this, whether it be a fall forum or a spring event or a smaller event we might run, we jokingly call it a family reunion. And it's everyone coming together really in a relational way, yes, to learn, yes, to solve some really difficult problems in our industry, but also to support each other in a very meaningful way. And some of our dearest friends, and I know you as well, some of our dearest friends are the people that we've known for 5, 10, 20, or maybe as much as 30 years. And CHIME's kind of been a focal point to not only bring those people together, but also to keep them together and support each other. We most recently lost one of our dearest friends, Tim Stedheimer, one of my dearest persons that I've traveled with for years. And the number of people that reached out from the CHIME community to not only be supportive of us that lost a dear friend, but also for him and his family. That CHIME community and that professional community was really that important during that period of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Russ. And for those just tuning in, we're speaking with longtime industry veteran Russell Branzell, President and CEO of CHIME. So you mentioned the CHIME Foundation and the CHIME Educational Foundation. Why two foundations and how are they different?
Yeah, so the CHIME Foundation itself is a community for our vendor partners. We actually don't call them vendors, but I'll do it today for point of reference.
Yes.
We just refer to them as our foundation partners. And that is the belief that the provider communities, the CIOs, the digital health leaders that are out there have to partner with the vendor community. In this case, we'll call them the foundation partners, because if those two communities come together in a meaningful way, then maybe 1 + 1 can equal 3. And we want to defy traditional math and the fact that we believe we can become accelerants together if we do really good things together moving forward. And that really is why we keep the CHIME world and the CHIME Foundation, because they have unique needs, unique certification needs, education needs, but we also bring them together through formal events and formal activities. The Ed Foundation was formed, I believe now, about 15 or 16 years ago. And it was because we looked around and we saw two significant gaps in the future of healthcare. One, we saw a significant gap in just investment alone in the future leaders. And we knew that there were, at that time especially, small, rural, or disadvantaged health systems, hospitals, medical offices that did not have the resources to get the formal education, certification, and support they needed to be able to do the jobs well. The other is we saw, even back then, the boards then saw an opportunity to help with diversity, help with gender diversity, to help with ethnicity diversity. And even today, still a significant problem and significant opportunity for us to continue to invest in. And they knew if they built an environment where there was a nonprofit 501c3 that could provide scholarships, support, other things for our industry to try to influence that. We have given away millions and millions and millions of dollars through our Ed Foundation to support just that. In just 1 year, we gave over $200,000 in scholarships to women and minority applicants to go through not just our programs, but to go through other programs and other events. And I think that's part of the mission of CHIME, is to support the industry at both a macro and a micro level. And this obviously is one that the organization has taken very seriously, even before it became such a prime issue.
Right.
CHIME and the leaders before the current ones saw it as an opportunity. And that's the purpose of the Ed Foundation. We all support it. Just about all of us in the industry support that, including our own personal funds to help fund some of those scholarships.
Love it. No, very impressive, Russ. That's excellent. So, looking at CHIME and what you guys are thinking about strategically over the next couple of years, what would be your priorities?
So we think we're seeing some real macro level trends coming together as we focus on what is occurring. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier. We used to be known, and probably still are known, as the CIO organization. But if you look around at the plethora of titles now of people in those roles, Chief Health Information Officer, Chief Digital Officer, Chief Transformation Officer, and I'd still say a significant portion of those skill sets are still the same, but what we're seeing is an explosion of the requirements of the position. So first and foremost, we were going to do what we always do, which is support the people in those positions that are members in our organization, both through skills development, through certifications, but also with education and opportunities for them to serve in the industry. And so first and foremost, we have to be about what our members need. But I think the other side of this is what we have also become known for, and that is to become an advocate for and an absolute powerhouse in Washington, D.C. with our team there, but also bringing our volunteer army together in our members to represent the industry in a meaningful way, both on the Hill both in the agencies and the work that is going on there, to really be the voice of the industry. And that's our goal, is to be a leading voice in the industry. You know as well as anybody, I know you've talked about this in your programs, cybersecurity is right up there on any given day, the number one terror issue with any of our members. It absolutely is one that has everybody worried. So we spend every single day. Matter of fact, this week we had people on the Hill working with our legislators, working with agencies to try to better position our members and their organizations to battle this as we move forward. But we also see major changes coming in the industry. The industry itself is becoming a much different place. The traditional walls of the hospital that we supported for years have come crumbling down. The ecosystem is so much bigger now, down to even a small unit, meaning somebody where they live, where we need to support them in their home or a distant environment with distant medicine or telemedicine that might be occurring. So now we have to think about healthcare on such a macro leadership level, where we used to think about it as our hospital or a clinic or an environment. We have to think about things on such a macro level and position our services and supporting our members to match that.
I love it. And yeah, a follow-up there is not only, the expansive nature, but also just with CIO in general. And if you look back over the last 20, 25 years of how that role has expanded and just the number, in every way. Articulate for my audience the importance of that role, because a lot of us, we see so much burnout, we see so much expansion, and just the critical nature. But how important is that role in today's hospital and health system?
Well, I think nothing amplifies this more than what occurred at the beginning of 2020 and the work that had been done by so many leaders, including yourself and so many others out there, for 10, 15 years in positioning that in a matter of sometimes hours or days, entire workforce was shifted to work from at home. Right. Entire medical operations were shifted to telemedicine. All that was done because the work of, and I'm not going to say the CIO, but the overall leadership of organizations, in particular, the technology leadership, to position an organization to be able to move when it needs to move. I think this amplifies that role, and that roles need to be forward thinking in such a way to wherever the organization needs to go in the future. We've now created an agile environment, a technology platform that can actually support not just the clinical business, but the operational business as things change and continue to move. I had a boss in Colorado, wonderful person, Dr. Rulon Stacy, who used to say, no matter where I tell you we need to go, you need to be ready. And in any given moment, I may come down and contradict myself yesterday on where we need to go, and you better be agile and be ready to move with the technology that's there. I think that's the world that every one of our leaders live in now. And if anything else, they're driving the change, not just supporting the change. They're helping organizations strategically drive to where they need to be in the future.
Wow. So, yeah, phenomenal. Tell me, I guess, what are some of the skill sets that you see are going to be really important? Because I have actually probably 10% of my audience are CIOs, to be honest. So it's an extremely timely show. But what are some of the skill sets that you see today, but also evolving over the next, say, 5 years for a CIO? I know it's a tough question, but.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's not as actually as difficult as you think, because we've actually put quite a bit of thought to this. Actually, about 17 years ago, CHIME and I was one of the CIO members, a member of the organization that participated with Gartner. And we developed this 2.0 scale of where the CIO and the technology leadership should be moving to be kind of a business focused driven position as we move forward. But as we've developed now, and I hate using all the numbers, but I'll use them anyway, kind of this 3.0 mindset, this new transformational, and I actually prefer the term revolutionary type leader that is trying to radically change the way healthcare is being delivered and the outcomes that are there. We actually went out and did some evaluation, and I won't give these in any particular order, but these are things that actually really resonated. First and foremost, relationship management skills. The CIO or the digital health leader now has to have relationships and meaningful thought processes with huge audiences inside of a community, a state, a region. Never mind, you think about some of these really large health systems that are in multiple states, if not all the states. And they have to be able to build meaningful, deep relationships in a very short period of time. And one of the things I think is also most important, and this is a fundamental change in the way we've operated, we were always change managers. We were really good at project management, on budget, on time, on delivery, all that kind of stuff. But now it's the concept of change leadership, helping human beings and organizations fundamentally change the way they operate and think. And that's a new skill set. That is not the same skill set as change management. Almost anyone can get trained in project management. Helping human beings change and move through that process that sometimes include mourning, includes actually, madness, sadness, all these kind of emotions, is a skill set that many of us weren't trained in, but is critically important. And as we move into a value-based care model, that word actually is very meaningful to the digital community, which is value realization, to be able to actually deliver outcome-based results by applying, whether that's technology or process change, whatever needs to occur to actually drive value. And there's a few others, really being involved with the strategic planning process more than ever. And what has emerged the last 12 to 18 months, although it was always on the list, it seemed a little less critical, and now it's just in our face, is this concept of talent leadership. And being able to not only identify talent early in a process and maybe a little bit younger in their careers, but also be able to rapidly develop people in a fact that we are in a massive labor war right now. And this isn't just nurses or doctors. It's everywhere in the world right now. And more than ever, our leaders have to be right on the front lines of developing talent. So that's just a few.
Russ, I love it. I wish, man, we should have done a double show, but this is fantastic. I've got about 3 more minutes left. I want to cover ViVE, but what you just said, I mean, you're so spot on. I mean, just with talent development and leadership development and the importance of, us as leaders, we have to do our jobs. We also have to, coach everybody else up and bring them along and help them fly. So I love the fact that you're focusing on that. But ViVE is here in a few weeks. Very excited for it. I believe we're going to actually do a great, session actually on stage with you coming up. So excited for that. But tell us, why ViVE and kind of why now?
So ViVE was really birthed out of a unique proposition, which our partners in that event is health. They're known for kind of a modern, kind of a hip feel. I hate using that term, but kind of a modern feel of really dynamic events, with CHIME's belief and absolute commitment to the fact that we've got to do some radical things to solve some problems and to actually innovate, transform, and as you heard me use the term, create revolutionary change. And we really didn't see that environment where all the thought leaders could come together, those really drivers of change, and create a catalyst and really create an environment. Matter of fact, there's a term back in my really old days of rocket science when I was in the military, this hyperbolic thing where you bring 2 inert things together and it creates an explosive opportunity. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is create an environment where some really rapid, meaningful relationships are formed, solving some of the toughest problems, and really at the exact same time brings people together at that leadership level. And again, I think last year we had 86% of the people that came to the event were at leadership level. We're seeing the exact same thing this year. Not that everybody isn't important, but there's environments for everybody. But this event is really designed to bring leaders together with other leaders to solve big problems.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I went to the HLTH or the health conference like 4 or 5 months ago, 3 months ago. Phenomenal. But I missed ViVE last year, was not going to miss it again. So I'm very excited to go in a few weeks. But health, I agree with you with, what health has been able to do, kind of this modern feel. I was shocked at how many thought leaders are just walking around, just in the hallways and all that. And I'm like, I think half my guests from my radio show of the last couple of years or last 10 years, we're walking the halls. So it's so cool. So many friends and former collaborators. So I completely agree. And I'm very excited for ViVE. This will be my first one. I'm a little ashamed to say it. This is the second year of ViVE or third?
This is the second. This is just the second one. This is, as we jokingly said, this is our sophomore year and we're not going to have a slump.
Love it. Not at all. No, you guys got an extremely great vibe out there, a vibe, I should say. But for ViVE. But I'm excited for it. We all are. We've done some great shows. So I had Rich Scarfo on, Steve Lieber on recently. So it's just, all of us are excited. I mean, obviously there's a couple of great leaders that are going to be there. Now we have you on the show. And this actually was not really orchestrated. These are just friends of mine through the years who have been able, Steve and I kind of catch up every year or two. You and I have not caught up in a long time. So it was great. And nor had Rich and I. So this is just all very timely, but that's just the way it all comes together. So this is terrific. And I look forward to seeing you. So when do you actually head there? When do you head to Nashville?
We're actually, as always, we're running a couple events beforehand. So I'm actually there the week prior to that, where I actually start getting there, I think on the 21st or 22nd of March, and I'm there all the way till the end of the month. So we are taking over Nashville. So as I always say, watch out, Nashville. All the health IT geeks and fun people are going to be coming to your town, and we'll enjoy it, to say the least. But the end of March is going to be a great time in Nashville.
Yeah, I think I'm going there on the 22nd myself. I'm going to get there a little bit early to get settled. I'm actually doing a live broadcast Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from ViVE in Nashville. So it's going to be a pretty intense time, but I'm very excited for it. I'm going to get there early just to prep, make sure everything's good to go. So,
well, I look forward to seeing you in the little CHIME village that we'll have there as well. So there is a private CHIME community for all of our CHIME members and our CHIME team, although the grander ViVE will be wonderful as well.
You got it. All right, Russ. Well, hey, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you here in a few weeks. And it's just great to have you back on air, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. And take care and God bless.
You got it. God bless. And thank you. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. And you can join us weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. If you miss any of this show, as always, you can track me on Twitter at HIT Advisory and use the hashtag #ThisJustinRadio so we can respond to your comments from the show. If you miss any of this episode or want to hear more, everything's posted on Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn. We've also launched some new content at justinbarnes.com, so you can check that out. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe. Have a great week.